So without any further ado, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Doctoral Academy Support Group meeting. I am your stand-in host for Prof. Lenine, and we welcome you to the session today titled Happiness is an Inside Job. So just to prelude our topic for today, if you are asked, what do you want to be? So often we receive the response, rich or happy. You know, today, could you say you have reflected yourself as being happy? Had others around you spoken to being happy? There's no doubt that you're more likely to feel happy when you're not stressed or anxious, and when you feel good, healthy, at peace, and content. Happiness speaks to you living well, and you find yourself living well in your mind, heart, and body. We know that happiness is a state of emotion, a being, a behavior, an act, a verb, in other words, and it is something that illuminates from us and can be shared with ease and is so impactful. And we know that happiness is experienced when we find joy in the things we do, and grows even further with having gratitude for the experiences, the things and people we have in our lives. So this is why we bring you the talk on happiness. So let's join in on a conversation all about happiness, an inside job. Please do make use of the chat space to share your comments, your reactions to the content being shared today by our guest speaker. So Christy, I hand over to you.
Right, and what an illustrious bio it is. Okay. So Professor Severa Romlal is the head of specialized psychiatry at the King Dinuzulu complex in Durban. She is a graduate of the University of Natal and completed her PhD at UKZN. She is a lecturer in the department, She's a lecturer in the Department of Psychiatry and was the first academic leader of the Registrar's Training Program in the College of Health Sciences at UKZN. She serves on the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Technical Advisory Committee for Mental Health, is the current president of the College of Psychiatrists, and a Senate member on the Education Committee of the Colleges of Medicine, South Africa. She co-manages the KZN branch of SADAG, which is the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, and is a mental health well-being advocate. Pardon, I've got that horribly wrong. Prof. Severa is widely published in local and international journals and is co-edited the first text psychotherapy South African textbook, the Talk Therapy Toolkit. Prof. Severa, with that, over to you.
Thank you, Suzanne and Christy. As I was saying earlier, I'm part of the Student Support Services family, so I belong in many departments, I believe. So it's always good to be back with the team, and very good afternoon to everybody. I'm always averse to having these late afternoon sessions. I think that's just a carryover from the pandemic, where this became the norm. But I do appreciate all of you making the sacrifice late in the day to join me, and hopefully you can all leave happier than when you came in, and it's worth the sacrifice. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen, and just to say that, Suzanne, no offense to you, but I have changed the title, and during the course of the talk, I will explain my reasons for that. It's not a huge thing, but it's just a matter of kind of a little bit of sensitivity. So here we go. So friends, colleagues, students. I see some familiar names in the list of attendees. It's really good to spend some time this afternoon with you just to have a little chat around happiness. And I'm really no expert in that, but really what I would like to do is, I see Suzanne has shared some recipes for happiness with you earlier. I'm certainly going to try some of those. But really to kind of share some ideas with you. You are all, postgraduate students. And I really do believe the best learning happens when we interrogate truths and find our own truths rather than somebody instructing us or indoctrinating us, or as I find, it's like injecting into our brains, in our hearts and our minds. So we have to find our own understanding of what we are doing, because when we find that and we believe in that, then we will be able to subscribe to that and adopt that and apply it, most importantly. All right. So what are we going to be doing this afternoon? Just a broad outline of what we're going to cover. I'm going to cover a little bit on the research on happiness, because it's not going to be intensive research. I also haven't shared references. You're welcome to contact me for that. I didn't want to make it an intense session. Then we're going to spend some time trying to define and demystify happiness. And we're going to talk a little bit about work and happiness, because I think that's where most of us struggle in terms of trying to find happiness despite some of the not so pleasant aspects of the work that we do. And then I'm going to share a few suggestions about how to lead holistically happy lifestyles. And then we're going to end with a little meditation to just get us all in that Zen space. All right. But first things first. So I want you to kind of just connect with yourselves. Close your eyes and just connect deeply within yourself at every level. All right. And just try and get an assessment. Unfortunately, we haven't developed a machine yet that can actually read, like a blood pressure machine, exactly how you're feeling. But whatever you are dealing with in your life now, however you are feeling, just connect with that and just give an overall rating. Don't overthink it. All right, I've just given you like a scale of 1 to 5 and just giving you some descriptors, but it's not cast in stone. Just on a scale of 1 to 5, where are you feeling? Where are you at on that graph? All right. So just write it down on a piece of paper. All right. And the next thing I want you to do is to all get off your chairs or your beds if you're lying down. And you need to do this little activity with me because I'm trying to kind of look at test something. All right. So on your feet, everybody on your feet. Suzanne will recognize this. I apologize for the sound quality, but it's just that the video is in such a way. All right. So on your feet, and I want to see you all. Nobody's watching you, so don't be self-conscious. So just do the best you can do.
We need to share sound.
Is the sound coming through?
Good. Her sound disappeared. So the sound's not coming through. No sound. It disappeared.
Okay, I do apologize. I see some gremlins crept in there and you didn't get sound. But did you eventually get to hear the sound and be happy and to move?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. So now as the test comes in, now I want you to re-rate yourself in terms of how you are feeling. All right, you did a score earlier before the Zumba. And now I want you to rate yourself again. And just once again, it's just a global score of how you're feeling. And if there's anybody whose score has dropped, all right, if there's no change, that's okay. If there is a drop in the score, then can you just indicate to me, was there anybody, just put a thumbs up if your score went down after doing that?
Seems from the chat spaces, everyone's scores have gone up.
Perfect. All right, that's good. So it's a simple activity. It took a couple of minutes, and there's a very simple way to how you can just get your happiness scores and your well-being scores up. All right, so let's get on to more serious business now. And I want to just ask you to reflect on, how do you know that you are happy? I know it's a difficult question, but it is important for you, because at the end of this talk, I really want you to be able to go with some practical tools is in terms of being able to monitor yourself, because only if we are self-aware can we self-correct. All right. So write down some indicators for yourself. And the reason I'm asking you to do this on your own and personally, and why I haven't given you any suggestions, is because this is a very individual thing. It's unique to each one of us. So it's important for you to be able to read your own body systems, your emotional system, your physical body system, and be able to kind of have a benchmark against which you can regulate. So that lovely picture that you see there is taken by my son last year in Cape Town, and it's the canola fields. And really, it was a source of great happiness to me to actually go there a few weeks ago and actually see them in full bloom. All right, so just to share some happiness with you. All right, so some more tasks for you as we go through this this presentation. I want to know what defines your state of happiness. All right, and you may have put down some indicators there, from the previous slide. And then as we go through this and I share various bits of information with you, what steps can you implement to promote your happiness? So once again, I'm going to emphasize that there is no one size that fits all. We are all unique. We all are unique in so many ways in terms of our past, our present, our demographics, our social circumstances, our life phase, the stages we are in our career, etc., etc. So really, you have to create a very bespoke plan in terms of how you look after your emotional well-being. Everybody with me there in terms of these two simple tasks that you're going to set for yourself for this presentation. All right. So very quickly, just some interesting information from the research on happiness. And this is a question people often ask: can money buy you happiness? Yes and no. It can buy you happiness, but up to $75,000, that's per annum. So the reason, obviously this is American research, but what the interesting take-home point is the fact that yes, we do need money for the basic necessities, and we can't be poverty-stricken and expect to be kind of on top of the world. But there is a ceiling to that. And for those people who feel that more is better, and that, there is no ceiling to how much you want, unfortunately, the more you have doesn't necessarily mean the happier you get. And the interesting thing is that our happiness is not predominantly determined by our genetics. Yes, if you have depression, you could be genetically predisposed to depression. That could be a contributory factor. But even in that circumstance, remember the whole science of epigenetics. Even if you are genetically loaded, the expression of those genes is largely under your control in terms of the psychosocial environment that you create for yourself. And we shouldn't make happiness the sole focus of our life's purpose. All right. Happiness, as you will see, ensues while we are busy getting on with the more important business of our lives, and spending too much time trying to find this elusive state of perpetual happiness can actually have the opposite effect, all right? And one of the important things to remember is that we are social beings. And so one of the most effective ways of pursuing happiness is really through social connectedness. Okay. Happiness also makes us better citizens, and therefore our world would be a better place if people are happier. Happiness does relate to career success, all right? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. And also there is a relationship between your well-being and religious or spiritual involvement. There's extensive literature involved there, and there are various mechanisms and reasons why belonging to a religious or spiritual subcommunity contributes to your overall well-being, all right? So there's lots of other research obviously being done on happiness, and the summary of all of that research is that happiness is good for your health, all right? Your mental and physical health is linked to variables in your cardiac health. You're less likely to get sick. Your immune system is stronger. Your stress levels are lower. Cortisol levels are lower. Your relationships are also healthier, and you cope much better with chronic medical conditions and with chronic pain. And one of the wonderful things is that being outdoors, especially near water and in nature, can make us happier. And in our essence, we are all energetic beings, and being in nature exudes a very pure, high frequency energy. And when we spend time in nature, we actually tap into this source of energy, and it's really uplifting. So lots of scientific research about how even exercising outside in nature, outdoors, is actually superior to exercising in the laboratory. And the good thing is happiness is contagious, all right? So you don't need to wear your mask if you want to catch it. Okay, what is happiness? So there's another happy picture here taken over the weekend by my son in Hermanus. We went to see, it's whaling season in Hermanus, and there's a mom with her calf, and really another source of happiness for everybody. All right, so we're going to define happiness by trying to look at what it is not and what it is often associated with. And as I said, there's no, I've thrown together kind of random ideas because I don't want you to kind of get into a rut and go to this kind of school classroom kind of approach to learning. I'm going to constantly surprise you and throw you curveballs. All right. So what is joy versus happiness? How is joy different from happiness? So joy is something that really emanates from deep within ourselves, and very different from happiness, which largely is contingent upon external factors. All right. So there are things that make us happy, like a job promotion, a new dress, good food, friends, etc., whatever makes you happy. And as I said, the source is external. And whenever the source is external, remember, you are vulnerable to a constant supply, which nobody can guarantee. Whereas when the source is within yourself, you are the controller of that source. All right. And it's an illimitable source. And there is a moral attribute to joy, all right, moral, spiritual connotations to that, because it comes from a much deeper level than our spiritual sources of, than our material sources of joy. And really joy is associated with a pursuit of self-awareness, self-growth, self-actualization, self-realization. And with that growth trajectory comes that inner flowering and blossoming of that inner sensation of joy. And therefore, it is a much more consistent and long-lasting state, because it takes time to cultivate, all right? Whereas if you are happy, a lot of it is contingent upon external circumstances and what you have or do not have in your life. It can be quite transitory, all right? And it's not necessarily consistent, because you don't often, you can't often control these external circumstances. All right. Then going a little bit more deeper and more philosophical, Aristotle introduced the term eudaimonic well-being, and a bit of a tongue twister there. And we're all familiar with the other term of hedonistic, leading a hedonistic life, all right? Hedonistic life, very pleasure-seeking and risk-taking and really having fun kind of life. There's no problem with that, all right? We seek pleasure, we want to feel good, we want to feel enjoyment, and it's a state of subjective wellness. And but it's kind of a peak of the happiness that you would feel. Whereas Aristotle's eudaimonia is more linked to our inner development and a broader perspective on what our life purpose is. What is our meaning here beyond just having children, sending them to school, and then getting their matric, and then going to university, then finding a job, and then getting married or whatever. And it really revolves around all the human pursuits. Whereas eudaimonia looks at a higher perspective in the bigger scheme of things, beyond just our human identity, what is our meaning, our purpose. And that aspiration is linked to the state of eudaimonia, all right? And it has a practical application. So if you look at it here, eudaimonia is about finding your life purpose and meaning, all right? So if you look at it on the x-axis, and hedonism is about pleasure and feeling good. So it's not either one or the other. If we have neither, where we're neither happy and nor do we have any meaning and purpose in our lives are pretty empty, all right? And we languish, okay? Whereas if we continue just to pursue happiness and hedonism, we have a good life, we have a sweet life, all right? And that's okay, but it doesn't necessarily pay the bills, all right? So that can be taken to a certain level, all right? Conversely, we can be so immersed inwardly and in seeking a bigger picture and deeper meaning, etc., and be bereft of any joy and happiness, then that is a very bland, dry life. So ultimate balance is to have both, all right? You want to feel happy, you want to feel good, you want to have pleasures in life, but you also want this pleasure to be in the context of a bigger picture and broader meaning, all right? So those of you who know me and listen to my talks, I always set the bar quite high. Don't feel under pressure, all right? I will just merely share with you all that's out there, and you choose where you are in your life's journey, what your aspirations are, and what doesn't resonate with you, you just ignore, okay? So then we're looking at contentment, and to be content, quote by Tony Gaskins, doesn't mean you don't desire more. It means you're thankful for what you have and patient for what's to come. Okay, so that's important. There's subtle insinuations there. It's not about a perpetual, unending state of desire, because that immediately sets us up for unhappiness. But also we speak about being thankful for what you have, acknowledging what's already in your life, which also contributes to your sense of happiness and well-being. So these are all subtle but important things. All right, so speaking about contentment, and I think one of the nicest stories that I've ever heard about that illustrates the whole concept of contentment is what I'm going to hopefully share with you now on screen, if this works, and you listen and we'll talk about it just now.
A management consultant on holiday in an African fishing village.
You'll need to redo your screen share. We can't see the video. So sorry.
Sorry, just bear with me, please. Me and tech are not good friends. Just feel free to share if there's a shot.
A management consultant on holiday in an African fishing village.
Can you hear?
Watched a little fishing boat
Yes.
dock at the quayside. Noting the quality of the fish, the consultant asked the fisherman how long it had taken to catch them. Not very long, answered the fisherman. Well, then why didn't you stay out longer and catch more? Asked the consultant. The fisherman explained that his small catch was sufficient to meet his needs and those of his family. The consultant asked, but what do you do with the rest of your time? I sleep late, fish a little, play with my children, have an afternoon's rest under a coconut tree. In the evenings, I go into the community hall to see my friends, have a few beers, play the drums, and sing a few songs. I have a full and happy life, replied the fisherman. The consultant ventured, I have an MBA from Harvard and I can help you. You should start by fishing longer every day. You can then sell the extra fish you catch. With the extra revenue, you can buy a bigger boat. With the extra money the larger boat will bring, you can buy a second one and a third one and so on until you have a large fleet. Instead of selling your fish to the middleman, you can negotiate directly with the processing plants and maybe even open your own plant. You can then leave this little village and move to a city here or maybe even the UK, from where you can direct your huge enterprise. How long would that take? Asked the fisherman. Oh, 10, maybe 20 years, replied the consultant. And after that? Asked the fisherman. After that, That's when it gets really interesting, answered the consultant, laughing. When your business gets really big, you can start selling shares in your company and make millions. Millions? Really? And after that? Pressed the fisherman. After that, you'll be able to retire, move out to a small village by the sea, sleep in late every day, spend time with your family, go fishing, take afternoon naps under a coconut tree, and spend relaxing evenings having drinks with friends.
Okay, so clearly my tech skills need improvement, but I hope you got the gist of that story.
We sure did.
Back to
Get a call now.
Whoa! Don't worry, Mr. Krusty. We'll defeat this panicking pie machine.
Hello.
Hello,
What's your name?
my name's Dante.
Oh, I love that.
Am I back with all of you?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so hopefully you had some time to reflect on that and got the gist of that, but I really think it exemplifies contentment and really illustrates for me how important it is for us to think before we jump on that treadmill, or not onto the conveyor belt, sorry. Often we just kind of go because that is the path that's been defined for us by others, but we don't necessarily stop to think, is it what I really want in my life? And it's particularly important that we reflect on this, especially when we are questioning our happiness in relation to our work, and we're questioning the meaning of what we are doing. All right. So what does the research show about happiness and work? That people who are happy with their jobs, and when I speak about jobs, I'm also referring to students who are engaged in research. If you're happy, you're less likely to leave your job, you're less likely to be absent, you will contribute to the organization in a positive way, and you'll be physically and mentally healthy. And generally, happy people do a better job, and people who do a good job are more likely to be happy. So it's kind of a bi-directional relationship. And also the people you serve are happier, and overall there's greater productivity, profit, and a safer working environment when you are happy. And in general, a happier organization is more productive and more successful. So it's important for us to also think of ourselves within the context of our work environments and however you define work, because you also are a factor in creating that environment, and from which you will either benefit or bear the brunt of. And also to be cognizant of this when we choose our work environments and make other choices in relation to our work, thinking not just about the work output, but in terms of how it impacts on us on a personal level. All right. So one of the very interesting and useful concepts is the term called ikigai, which is a Japanese concept, and loosely translated in English, it means a reason for being, the reason for us being here, being present on this planet, being present in the context of our lives. Nothing happens by chance. There's no accident where you are, who you are. But we need to look, and the Japanese look at work as a source of value in one's life. Now, the predominant belief is that our work is largely the source of our revenue and income and money, which then enables us to have all the other things that we think will bring us happiness, all right? And that is why often people ask me, how do you get this work-life balance, all right? Inverted commas balance. And I say that's a word that I do not subscribe to, balance, because it's not something that you can balance, all right? Work is part and parcel of who you are and your life purpose, all right? And if you see it as apart from your life purpose, then you're really going down a very unhappy road, because we spend so much of time. We spend the majority of the best years, the most productive years of our lives, of our daytime lives, at work, all right? So you think the prime of your life is from about your 20s up to your 50s, 60s, and yet that's the time you are working full time. So if we cannot bring joy and make work part of our life's purpose and part of our life's happiness, then we are really losing out. And when do you then plan to be happy? After retirement? We're not sure we're going to get there. And even if we get there, we don't know how many of our faculties will still be functional for us to be able to enjoy all those hedonistic activities that give us happiness. All right. So Ikigai speaks of the things that make one's life worthwhile, the thing that you live for, the things that make you get up each morning. And I think that is so important for students, especially when they're choosing their research trajectory. And I always say, choose something that you are passionate about, that you enjoy, that you'll have interest in, because if you're going to spend many years, 2 years or 4 years or 5 years in your research on a topic, that really must resonate with you at every level, deeply, all right, not just intellectually, all right, because it's going to be your life for several years to come. So it's important, once again, to integrate your work philosophy, your work health into your overall health plan. And basically the philosophy of Ikigai says that you should choose what you love to do, all right? And also try and do something that the world needs, because we all need money. And if you're doing something that the world doesn't need, then it's less likely that you're going to get paid for it. And then also do something that you're good at, all right? Don't struggle. Each of us is born with a unique talent. We each have something to contribute to this world, all right? And if we can combine all of this, our mission, our vocation, our profession, and our passion, then that is a huge step in the right direction towards us leading fulfilling and happy lives, all right? Now, happiness is not something that happens by chance, but by choice. And the reason I changed the topic is, happiness is an inside job. It's just more in deference and respect for those people that may be in very challenging circumstances and by no choice of their own. And sometimes there are situations where you are trapped, you're literally a victim, and you don't have the power to actually free yourself from that situation. And I'm referring to the many very unhappy situations that many people find themselves in the world. So it's difficult in those circumstances to be happy. It's not impossible, but it's harder. And I always remind you of the fact of our former president, the late Nelson Mandela, who spent the prime of his life in jail, all right? And he came back and he could have been a very bitter person. And his words were that, if I could have chosen to be bitter and angry and vengeful, but if I had chosen that attitude, I would still be a prisoner, right? So there's a very profound example of how our choices, our attitudes also play a huge role in our lives, irrespective of the circumstances we are in. And when we are in circumstances that are robbing us of our choice and our opportunity to be happy, then we really should exercise our rights to make changes. One of the definitions I often repeat is insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. And many of us are in situations that we don't make enough of an attempt to change. All right. And yet we expect our feelings and our state of happiness to change. So self-effort does go into this choice to be happy as well. And this quote from Emerson really is at the heart of what my main message for today is, that what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And often we are stuck regretting what's happened in the past and anxious and aspiring and impatient for what lies ahead. And in that process, we forget about the present. And also, because we are so focused on happiness being presented to us from the outside world, that we fail to look at all the treasures and the resources that we have within ourselves. So really, I believe in empowering individuals and what I call self-science, so that we can always tap into those infinite resources that we have within ourselves, so that we're never dependent on external circumstances. Obviously, we can't be totally independent of certain things. We do need water and electricity and Wi-Fi and all of those things. But our attitude, even when these are taken away, like we've had recently with load shedding and the floods, etc., we should still be able to preserve our balance and our poise and not allow it to plunge us into the depths of despair. So Socrates says, know thyself. And this is a very neglected area, even at university level, where we taught everything. We're given lots of knowledge. And really in this era, knowledge is very easy to acquire, all right? We can just Google at the tip of our fingertips is our phone, and we can Google and you can just about ask Google anything. All right. There's no kind of restriction now on domains of information that you can access. But really what we have neglected is how to get to know ourselves, our inner selves. And that is our most treasured, priceless resource that we have. And that I truly believe is one of the contributory factors towards the high rates of burnout, depression, stress, and anxiety, because we're highly literate. We have more PhDs in the world now than we ever did. All right. So why should there be an increase in the amount of mental distress? It's really because we don't know how to navigate our inner selves through this world that we have, where we have lots of material resources, but really impoverished on the inside. And one important attitudinal change that we have to have in towards our striving towards a happier life is that our locus of control. All right. Who controls your happiness? Who controls your destiny? It's not your supervisor. Your supervisor is entitled to give you feedback and give you horrible edits and all those track changes, etc., the reviews from the journal, etc., etc. All right. That's their job. How you respond to that, if you make your happiness put your happiness in the hands of your supervisor or the journal reviewer, then you are dependent on completely at the mercy of what they actually say or do. So we really have to say that I control my destiny. All right. And it's that inner awareness, that inner knowledge that actually allows you to understand how and why you actually control your destiny. All right. Because when you allow your destiny to be in the hands of other people, then you're completely at the mercy of constantly changing situations. All right. And we've seen how much the world can change with the pandemic, with the floods, with looting. And really, if our happiness was constantly changing and fluctuating with the external circumstances, we all be a nervous wreck. Okay. So we really have to have that mindset of having an internal locus of control. So when we talk about knowing yourself and having that internal locus of control, what are the resources we have? Where do we tap into? And if you can understand and apply this little model about what our inner world comprises, our world of thoughts, our emotions, and our behaviors, all right? And you can see they're all bidirectionally linked. So often we allow ourselves to be plunged into misery and unhappiness and stress, which is largely fed by the thoughts that we are having. It's very often very dysfunctional, unhealthy thought patterns that we harbor and that we've maintained over many, a long period of time that's really don't serve our well-being. And also our behavior, what we think influences how we behave. How we behave also influences our feelings. How we feel also in turn influences our behavior. So it's a complex interaction of a triad here that really empowers you when you understand how it works and you learn to use it in your service. But also importantly, I'm a firm believer of the fact that we are not just human beings, we are spiritual beings, all right? And first and foremost, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that immediately changes our perspective when we see things in a broader, bigger perspective, and that helps us to make meaning and sense of sometimes very trivial, but sometimes very distressing things that we go through, all right? And if we don't have that higher perspective of understanding and meaning, then it makes the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of peace, all that more difficult. So I'm not prescribing to you that you explore your spiritual identity, but I am suggesting to you that when we have that meta perspective on often in life, what seems like everything is just so unfair. It doesn't make sense. Why are these things happening to us? All right. Having a sense of meaning, a perspective, really does make a huge difference in terms of how we think, how we feel, and how we behave in circumstances. All right. So getting a little bit more biological now, all right, you probably have heard of the happy hormones. So yes, what happens in our body chemistry does influence what happens at our brain level, because our happiness is mediated at what is happening in our brains. And so these four hormones have been identified as being key role players in our state of happiness. So just as illustrative, and dopamine is the reward chemical, and that's really what drives our hedonistic behavior. We want things that kind of give us that adrenaline rush. And so it's really activity based, all right? So if we are leading largely sedentary lives, sitting and working on our PhDs and all of those things, we really do miss out. So you do need to do things that are creative and do things that are physically active. Serotonin also for the good moods, for your good mood. And, you know, a lot of our antidepressants are serotonin based and help to enhance serotonin release in our brains. And there are simple practical measures that we can take to actually enhance the release of these naturally. All right. I really do believe that we have all the resources to be able to tap into all the medicine that our body needs. And simple things like meditation, eating healthy meals. You would have heard of mood foods, where certain foods are rich in serotonin. So you can do your homework around that if you're a foodie and look at how what you eat, what you ingest has an effect on your brain. Oxytocin, the love hormone or the cuddle hormone, really speaks to us as social beings, and we need our need for interconnectedness and human touch. All right. So spending time with friends, but physical touch as well, although it's related to pregnancy, and I'm focusing more here on it's linked to our mood. But when we feel loved, we feel happy. And the way to stimulate oxytocin release, apart from during pregnancy and breastfeeding, is massage, physical touch. All right. And physical touch is so important for our survival. And you would have read of experiments with monkeys that have deprived of touch and communication, social connection, and it can be fatal, all right? And then your endorphins, all right, which is your natural pain relievers, far more potent than any analgesics that any doctor can prescribe for you. And we also have the ability to able to release these naturally, all right? So you heard of the jogger's high and why people will jog in the blazing sun or when it's cold and rainy. It's because they need their constant release of endorphins, which are released during exercise, all right? And Viktor Frankl is a survivor of the Holocaust. He's a psychiatrist. He lost his family members in the Holocaust, and he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, which I recommend to everybody to read over and over again. And he says that happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. And how does it ensue? It ensues from us living our lives holistically, healthily, meaningfully, all right? And his is really an inspiring story. And he devised a therapy called logotherapy, which means the therapy of meaning. Relates, logos means meaning in terms of having meaning. So the meaning of your life is to find your meaning, all right? If you want to find happiness, all right, pursue meaning. Because once you lead a meaningful life, something that really feeds your heart and mind and your soul, your happiness will ensue naturally from that, all right? The trick is to find what is meaningful for you. What is meaningful to you may not be meaningful to me. So that is why it's also important not to follow somebody else's dream, somebody else's path. Be authentic, be your own self, listen to your own voice, listen to your heart and follow that. And then you're more likely to be happy. All right. So how does one pursue a sense of well-being? Because for us to be happy, we need to be happy in all our bodies. So I spoke earlier that we are energetic beings, and I'm just using the 4 energetic bodies, but there are more, but these pertain mostly to us as in our form as human beings, is our physical bodies, all right? Taking care of our physical bodies will ensure that we are more likely to be happy, because our biology is intrinsically linked to our emotional bodies, all right? Emotional body, and in terms of cultivating healthy emotional habits, cleansing and detoxing our emotions as well as our mental. You know, we harbor a lot of toxic and dysfunctional and unhealthy thinking patterns. So mental cleansing is also important in terms of our happiness. Often we are carrying misconceptions about happiness, which don't serve our happiness. And then ultimately our spiritual meaning, all right? Leading a spiritually meaningful life and engaging in spiritual practices all foster our well-being, and well-being is closely linked to a state of happiness, however you have defined it. And I'm hoping that as you go along, you will be better able to define that. So the good news is that I don't have to keep saying this in all my webinars, is that I've put all of these suggestions into a book in terms, and it's a workbook in terms of how you can actually promote your well-being holistically. And the model is for 8 areas of activities: rest and recharge, to move, to sleep, to cleanse and detoxify, to breathe, to nourish, to feel and heal, and ultimately to connect inwards, upwards, and outwards. All right. So the book will be released sometime later this month for those of you who want to delve more into taking care of your well-being holistically. Now, when we talk about happiness, I think we also have to address some common misconceptions and pitfalls in our journey towards happiness, all right? And this is something I see so often amongst students, perfectionism, and how it deprives them of all the joy, all the happiness, all the contentment of their work, especially their research work, all right? So yes, by all means, I have high standards, pursue excellence, all right? But excellence and perfectionism are two different things. Perfectionism is boring because once you achieve the perfect, there's nothing else for you to achieve. So you'll have nothing to do, all right? So, perfectionism doesn't come from a healthy place, all right? So if you need to be perfectionistic, you have other mental health issues, all right? Be conscientious by all means, strive for high standards and continue striving to better and better yourself, all right? But not at the cost of your happiness. If it's making you anxious, then that's a wrong path you're going down. Yes, compare yourselves with other people and how they are doing, because then you can benchmark, you know, how you are doing. So it's also a source of encouragement or where you need to work a little bit harder or work in different areas, but don't compete. If you have to compete, compete with only your higher self, all right? Each person is on their own journey, all right? So no point competing with the person next to you. Be a better version of yourself. All right, constantly. That is our life purpose, to grow and to be better people, all right, and to become our best. So compete only with your higher self. And do not be obsessed with having, all right? We are a culture that is obsessed with possessions, the cars, the jewelry, the clothes, the boyfriend or the girlfriend, or it's always material things, or we're always bigger and better. All right, but really at the end of the day, and I think the pandemic taught us that we could have everything in the world, but that was no recipe for success or joy or contentment or health, all right? So focus more on being an authentic person, being true, being a good person, all right? Being compassionate, being a loving person. And be present in the moment. Once again, a good reference point is the pandemic, because it taught us so much. We weren't sure that there was going to be a future. All right. And whatever we had in the past didn't matter, because we're always stuck in lockdown. We all had the same challenges, the same fears, the same uncertainties. All right. So be more fully present in the moment. All right. And you will then have a greater chance of actually enjoying happiness. We spoke about locus of control, and the other one is blame versus responsibility. All right. We want to blame other people for our state of our lives, our unhappiness, our success, etc. Really take responsibility, all right? Do what is within your capability. Blaming doesn't help anybody. If anything, it compromises your own well-being. And also don't blame yourself. Carrying guilt does nobody any good, all right? We all here, we are all fallible. We all will make mistakes. Just go gentle on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate to yourself. If you err, if you fall, get up, dust your knees, take a break, allow yourself time to heal, and then keep going on your journey, okay? There's no room for blame and guilt in leading a healthy life, all right? And then stop judging, all right? Unfortunately, we live in a society that's highly judgmental, that can be really cruel and unkind. Don't be one of those people, all right? But for the grace of God, go I, all right? And as I said, the pandemic also taught us again that we all are fallible. So be kind when we are making assessments and wanting to pronounce judgments on other people. And everything I say about what you're doing to other people, remember, it starts with you, all right? Self-love is important. I also want to emphasize that it's okay not to be okay, all right? Sad is not all bad. I don't know why we are a society that somehow feels that we need to shy away from negative emotions. All our emotions are there as alerting. There are signals to us about what's happening at a deeper level, or even sometimes just what's happening around us, all right? But we've become a society that's so obsessed with just intellectual growth that we've kind of relegated all our other aspects of our humanness as being inferior, all right? Our emotions are absolutely important, perhaps more important than our intellect in educating us, in guiding us through life. All right. So get in touch with your emotion, build your emotional intelligence, and it's okay to be sad. I would be very concerned about people who say they are never sad. grief is normal. And because we don't connect with our emotions, at best we know how to send off an emoji, but we really have no emotional literacy in terms of what it is to grieve something. What it is to feel sad, what it is to feel disappointment. All right. So it's okay to feel those negative emotions because you will learn from that and then you will grow. Okay. So don't shy away from your emotions. Obviously, I'm not talking about pathological or clinical states when you're in clinical depression or you have clinical anxiety disorders. That's different. We have a normal range of human emotions that we all should embrace and learn from and grow from. And there's a lovely book that speaks of the wisdom of depression. All depression is not clinical depression, all right? It is normal, it is healthy sometimes to go through periods of depression because that's when we tap into our inner wisdom. And one of the all-time favorites that I always say ask people to put on their screensavers is because we're trying to change things that we have absolutely no control over, all right? So really getting a perspective of your life and what it is within your capability to change, and then making those changes where you can, all right, and then having the wisdom to know the difference. So much of mental distress and unhappiness comes from people trying to change things, as I said, that they have absolutely no power to change, all right. So this is one activity. This is a review of a very simple activity, a practice rather, and these are all the benefits that were found from scientific research if we practice this on a daily, regular basis. So now I'm sure, how many of you would like to be able to enjoy all of these benefits free with very little effort? I can't see any thumbs going up, but hopefully you're all still with me. Okay, so what is this simple practice? It's the practice of gratitude, all right? And this is something that I feel is something that's so neglected, but it's so useful. So we're going to end with a simple meditation, which you can keep your eyes open and look at the video. Hopefully the video is going to work this time. If you want to just close your eyes and just listen to the sound, that's okay as well. But it's really a practice that I encourage. It's a simple practice that will really help to grow your inner calm, your contentment, tranquility, and your sense of joy and happiness. All right, so here goes. Just please bear with me if I have issues with tech again. And tell me if you can't see.
The video is clean, sound is good.
Gratitude is the fastest way to raise your vibration so that you can attract to yourself the life of your dreams.
Can you see
Listen
and
to
hear?
this every day for 21 days.
Yes, all good.
The world transform. It is very powerful. Remember to feel gratitude for all that you already have and all that you are in the process of manifesting. Everything you desire is simply waiting for you in the infinite field of consciousness, and your gratitude will magnetize and maximize your power of manifestation. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for my bed. Thank you for my shower. Thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for my home. Thank you for warmth. Thank you for my healthy body. Thank you for the earth beneath my feet. Thank you for my freedom. Thank you for Mother Nature. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for my intuition. Thank you for travel. Thank you for my ability to replenish and rejuvenate. Thank you for companionship. Thank you for the plants. Thank you for my ability to visualize. Thank you for the flowers. Thank you for my ability to dream. Thank you for the trees. Thank you for my ability to manifest all of my desires. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for my ability to create wealth. Thank you for the moon. Thank you for my ability to do what I love. Thank you for the wind. Thank you for reflection. Thank you for all my teachers. Thank you for the night sky. Thank you for all my lessons. Thank you for the stars. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for the oceans and the seas. Thank you for silence. Thank you for the forests. Thank you for my self-respect. Thank you for the mountains. Thank you for my ability to feel inner peace. Thank you for the rain. Thank you for my ability to sleep peacefully. Thank you for the infinite opportunities available to me. Thank you for all my senses. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for water. Thank you for fresh fruits and vegetables. Thank you for my ability to live with authenticity. Thank you for choice. Thank you for the balance of life. Thank you for transportation. Thank you for my capacity to unconditionally self-love. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for compassion. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for my ability to give and receive. Thank you for my creativity. Thank you for my capacity to feel joy. Thank you for light. Thank you for sound. Thank you for my playfulness. Thank you for my ability to have wholesome, loving relationships. Thank you for laughter. Thank you for rest. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for delicious foods and drinks. Thank you for my ability to touch and be touched. Thank you for the beauty of nature. Thank you for my ability to forgive. Thank you for all the seasons. Thank you for my ability to heal. Thank you for wildlife. Thank you for my ability to achieve financial freedom. Thank you for my passions. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for my strong bones. Thank you for my strong muscles. Thank you for my healthy heart. Thank you for my strong back. Thank you for my legs. Thank you for my feet. Thank you for my arms. Thank you for my hands. Thank you for my eyes. Thank you for my ears. Thank you for my taste buds. Thank you for my healthy digestive system. Thank you for my balanced nervous system. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for the process of realizing my innate perfection. Thank you for movement. Thank you for my ability to learn and grow. Thank you for new beginnings. Thank you for my ability to have a deeply fulfilling romantic relationship. Thank you for color. Thank you for my ability to make peace with my body. Thank you for music. Thank you for my ability to trust. Thank you for books. Thank you for my inner sanctuary. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. Thank you for dance. Thank you for my natural talents. Thank you for my vibrant energy. Thank you for my inner wisdom. Thank you for my healthy boundaries. Thank you for all my experiences. Thank you for all my blessings. Thank you for my capacity to love and be loved. Thank you for my unique spark of the divine. Thank you for my connection to all that is. Thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you. This is Jess from Live the Life You Love, supporting you to create your dreams. And I love you.
I'm hoping you all are still awake.
Yes, we are. Very soothing.
Get back to my PowerPoint and okay, I'm almost done. I apologize for going over time, but I wanted to go through the whole meditation because for me, it's not just about giving you information here, it's so that you can take something back in your hearts and souls as well, and get a taste of what different inner states we can enjoy if we put in a little bit of time and effort. So in conclusion, I just want to invite all of you to our annual mental health walk. Monday the 10th is World Mental Health Day. And we have a whole fair there at the beachfront. It's free. And we also have Zumba there. If you enjoyed the Zumba, there's a meditation, there's yoga. And yeah, there's the walk and the beautiful ocean. So everything you need to feel happy and to be mentally healthy. All right. So thank you very much for your attention. This, I have to say, is a photograph I took in Kirstenbosch Gardens a few weeks ago. And flowers and birds are really my source of happiness as well. So thank you very much. I'm happy to take questions if anybody is still wanting to stay on the call.
Thank you so much, Prof. Severo. So I see there are a couple of shares and some takeaways and appreciation in the chat space. So yeah, we can definitely receive 1 or 2 questions. If anyone would like to share a question or a comment, you're most welcome to unmute. And while we're waiting for an unmute, we have a couple of thanks. I take away the choices that I have and the responsibility to me, to stop searching and to be present, to stop wanting to have, but to just be. Thank you, Prof. Always so refreshing. And I take away the reminder that I can choose. I choose to show gratitude, grow my inner calm, compassion, contentment, to be well and happy. Very therapeutic. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. I felt the session spoke right to my heart. Absolutely. And such an inspiring presentation. So I see there's no comments or questions yet. Live comments or questions. So with that, thank you so much. Yes, Prof.
No, I just want to say thank you for having me here. And as I said, I hope it's been practically useful and that every one of us will invest in our well-being. I really think that after the pandemic, it's really a wake-up call for us to kind of have a bigger, a more holistic approach to how we live our lives mindfully and meaningfully every day. The book, there will be information circulated on the UKZN website in terms of how it can be available. And so you'll definitely hear about that. And yeah, that's it from me. I will send the link. As I said, I have to figure out, I have to go into my computer and get the link, and I don't want to interfere with anything lest we lose the connection. All right, so I'll send it to Susan and then she can send it to all of you here. But have a lovely evening and yeah, take care of yourselves. Bye.
Okay, everybody, have a great one. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.